If you want to see how I turn this full frontal into this beautifully plucked frontal, keep watching. Hey dolls, so now we're going to get started with the plucking portion of the series. This is the same frontal from the last video where we bleached it. The canvas head and the tripod are both from Amazon. It's a 22-inch canvas head. I can link it below. The tripod I bought years ago. It came with that thing to take pictures on your phone, but I just took it off and put the mannequin head on. So let's get started on plucking. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is that really light part in the front. We're gonna part that out because you don't really want to pluck that right now. You're gonna use that for your baby hairs, and if you get pluck happy, you might push your hairline back, and we don't want to do that. So we're just gonna part that out. So we're not really gonna focus on that part because that's the part we're gonna cut off around your ear. So we can just skip that part. We're just gonna focus on that portion right there. From there to there, that's the side of my head, and from there over is the top of my head, just for reference. When plucking, you don't want to just pluck the very front. You want to have like a natural gradient kind of flow of like thin to thick. If you look at people's hairlines, you'll know what I mean. But you're gonna take about like an inch of hair back, and that you want to pluck all of that. And you're gonna pluck on that side, and you can pluck on that side as well, just to make it faster. And as you pluck, you just wanna every so often take the comb and just comb the plucked hair out so you can really see what you're working with and you don't over pluck. So when you're plucking, to make it look really natural, you do not want to pluck everything the same way. You want to skip spaces like I'm showing you. And then you also, like the length that you go back, you want that to vary. So there you may go that far back, and then in the next space you'll just go a little bit, and then the next space a little further. You just want it to look super natural, so you don't want it to be uniform. The key to plucking is to always keep your hands moving. You can always pluck more if you feel like it's too full, but you can't add hair back. And it's always best, I think, to pluck the hair when it's wet, because when it's wet, you can really see like where the hair is laying, how much hair you have. When it's dry, everything just looks really, really full. So you can feel like you have to pluck so much. And then when you put some mousse or some water, it's like, wow, I really don't have any hair. So as you can see, I'm just going to be plucking. I just sped it up because, you know, plucking can take a long time. It can take an hour if you just started. But as you keep doing it, you'll get faster. And this was actually really hard for me to do because usually I just have the canvas head between my legs and I just go to town and get pluck happy and do it like that. But for the video, I wanted to do it on a tripod, and then trying to keep my big head out of the frame was really hard. It was like angles trying to do this. So as you can see, my hand is always moving. You don't want to stay in one spot for too long because bald spots are real and you do not want one. And also, I want you to keep in mind that when you're plucking and it's your first time, to take your time and make sure you're actually gripping each strand by the root and actually pulling it out. Because if you're pulling more of the shaft, then you could actually be breaking the hair. So your roots are still full, it still needs to be plucked, but now your ends, the body of the hair is thin because all you did was break all the hair off. So just make sure you take your time and make sure you're plucking what needs to be plucked. You can also take this time while you're plucking around the hairline to pay attention to the strands that didn't take the bleach, and you can make sure you pluck those. Okay, so I finished plucking this side for at least for now. As you can see, it kind of gets thin. You see the little spaces in between the hairs. I love that look. And I'm going to show you what the other side looks like in comparison in case you can't really tell. So this is the side that I didn't touch yet. And as you can see, when I comb it back, you're going to have that little thin part where the baby hairs are. And then other than that, it's just super dense. So there's the difference. Moving on to the top of the frontal, we're going to basically do the same thing. So you're going to part about like a 1-inch space. And you're going to do the same technique of plucking on each side of the part and then combing it so you can get the plucked hairs away so you can see how much hair you have left. And you kind of want to keep doing that for that whole section. It's about that much space of hair. And just keep in mind that the top part of the frontal is usually fuller than the side of the frontal. So if whatever time you spent plucking the side, you're probably going to spend way more than that plucking the top because it's super, super full. And depending on your preference, you may want to, after you like really pluck the front part, you might want to go through the back part of the top section and kind of pluck through that part too if you want to just thin that part out a little bit. I don't usually pluck it that much because I kind of like the big like ba ba boom kind of hair, so I like the density, but it is an option if you just want it to be a little thinner. I know I turned the canvas head, but girl, at this point, I'm like, listen, I really need to see what I'm doing. You guys already saw the side. Like, I need to get to plucking. And then as you can see, like I'll pluck it and I'll comb the pluck hair out. And then I'll kind of comb the hair back so I can see how it's going to look. Because you don't want the top part of your head to be bald. And I'm just re-wetting it because like I said, it's easier to see what's really going on when the hair is wet. And as you're going to see with the final product, like I pluck it so that it doesn't look super, super dense. But I don't like pluck it to the gods because I'm not Ari, I'm not Alexis Sky, I'm not any of these Instagram girls who have a hairstylist on deck, right? I watched Alonzo Arnold, I think that's his name, some interview, and he would say like these girls, they come and get their hair done and they keep that wig in for like a day or two and then they're done with it and they're on to the next style. So shedding, balding, all that is not an issue for them because they won't have it on that long. But what do we want? We want longevity. We want this wig to last, right? So naturally, through manipulation, your frontal over time is going to shed. Through, using the heating products, the bleaching process can make the hair a little weaker. just touching the front of the lace to like glue it to your head, or you know, styling it, brushing the baby hairs, all that stuff naturally over time is gonna cause shedding. So I pluck it enough to where it looks natural, but it's still kind of full, so that over time, even when it does shed, it's still like, okay, I can wear this though. Like, I'm not balding. I can tell that it's thinning out, but it still looks good. My last wig that I made it in November, and now it's May, and it's still looking good. Now I'm noticing that it's starting to get a little thinner, but it's 100% still wearable because I didn't pluck it like crazy. So this is how the front part looks now that I'm finished plucking. It's still full, but it's a nice gradient. Alright guys, so this is the final look. As you can see, it's still wet, and you can see how far back the plucking goes, and you'll see how that looks once it's styled. And it actually still is pretty full. And you can see here the little gradient in the front by the hairline. It's not that harsh line that was there anymore. And then this side I plucked off camera, and you see that plucking is popping too. That's about how much hair I plucked out from the hairline. So stay tuned for the next part of the series. See you later, dolls.